So many people know of Seattle history. You know, they know of the Seattle Underground, they know of Pike Street, they know of, they know the history that's in the brochure. Most people don't know of the history under the water. They don't know about the maritime history on our lakes. You know, we had military bases, we had, ships being built, we had the Kalakala being rebuilt right on our lake. I mean, the history brings a whole new dimension to Seattle. When I was younger, I always wanted to scuba dive and explore. I lived on a lake and it was all about snorkeling and diving, trying to find, old relics. Later on in life, I had a couple friends who got certified. I said, hey, that sounds like a great idea. I want to do it since I was a kid. So we started diving around local waters, and it wasn't enough for me to try to explain to people what I saw and what was under the waves. I needed something to prove, to somebody, this is what I saw. You got to see this. It's amazing. When I started, searching around for dive shops to kind of make myself a local at, I ran into one, Starfish Enterprise Diving, and the people that owned that were kind of the more technical side. They did a lot of more deeper dives, and they explored the old shipwrecks and stuff of Canada, so I was really intrigued about that. It was there that I met my two other friends, and they were as driven as I, they were as stoked as I on diving. So we kind of hooked up and just started touring around diving all over the place. I was at the dive shop and a couple guys came in and they said, we've heard about this car that went off the road in Lake Crescent, Washington, and supposedly 2 people had gone missing since 1929, and we found the car. So we started doing a bunch of research through old newspaper articles and just old photographs and trying to get an idea of where this kind of went in. So we went out to Lake Crescent, Washington, and we did a dive and we ran across the car in our last 2 minutes of our dive. The story was so compelling that it had to be shared. We worked for years on this, documented the car, documented the remains that we found, took interviews. Family was so gracious. I still get letters from descendants of the people that died wanting DVDs and just asking me how I'm doing, and it was an amazing feeling, an amazing story to be able to do this for this family. It was then that DCS Films was born. Our group of divers, we're diving rebreather. So you literally have about 4 to 6 hours of gas, at any depth. A lot of the deeper wrecks are 200, 250, 300 feet deep, some of the good historical wrecks. But there's also wrecks like right here in Lake Washington and Lake Union that are recreational range. Most of them are dumped, they're trashed. They were owned after the war and used, and then their service history or their service was just used up and they were quietly sank. So we found a minesweeper, the YMS 105, which was renamed the Gypsy Queen. We also have recovered a historic tugboat, the J.E. Boyden, which is in the middle of Lake Union. We found a World War II landing craft, which we're still trying to manually dig out because the numbers are on the stern end of it. So once we get out there, we want to go ahead and get to the stern portion of the boat, see if we can see the rest of the numbers, see if you can mentally take a note of what the numbers could be before we start digging out the dirt.
Right, and careful of the paint, right?
Careful of the paint. A lot of the times you come up with evidence after the fact that the newspapers never gleaned or the cases never saw. There's been a couple times where it has been published about either a certain wreck or how it went down that we've later proved to be wrong.
I love, the discovery of it. There's just so much lost history under the water, nobody has any idea that's even there.
I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. And when I got here and seen that water, I just had to find out what was in there. And 20-something years, it just keeps getting better every time.
it has driven me to just be a history buff now. And if I can be driven out of not ever liking history to just loving it, it's nice to be able to share that with somebody else. So we started the Maritime Documentation Society to do just that, to go ahead and just map these wrecks for everybody. Not just in the lakes, but in the Puget Sound, Canada, Alaska, and hopefully we're going to start, branching off to other parts of the world. I do work full-time and have a job, so this is basically, after work or on weekends, and so it seems like I'm constantly working 7 days a week at all hours of the day and night. It's something that I love to do. It's so exciting to me. I have the energy and the strength and the passion, the drive to keep doing it, so I'll keep, pushing forward. Someone's got to do it.
Watch CityStream Thursday nights at 7 on the Seattle channel, or get video on demand and podcasts anytime at seattlechannel.org.